Okay, so when Guru started doing his weightlifting, and he got into his weightlifting project with the actual weights, when he was doing just lifting the weights above his head. When he had reached 300, he had this first project was to do, I think, 300 miles, 1 mile at a time, and he invited all the disciples that had been involved with weightlifting or bodybuilding in the past to come, and each one of them would run a mile. And it was done on a 1 mile loop in Flushing Meadow. And a few of us got to go and watch, kind of like witness the whole project. And so Guru, the plan is that Guru would run the last mile. And so eventually it came to that point where it was the last mile. And Guru actually stated a particular time that he wanted to try and break. You know, something like maybe, say, I don't even remember now what the time was, but so supposedly it was like an 8-minute mile, and he wanted to break 8 minutes. So he started the thing, and for some reason I started my watch at the same time. And then Guru was running around, and as he was coming, I was watching my watch, and he was approaching the finish line, and sure enough, he broke it by like a couple of seconds, the time that he'd wanted to do. So I sort of like somehow I ended up walking, as like Guru was continuing to walk for a few meters up past the finish line, and I was kind of there, and I said to actually one of the New York disciples, "Wow, Guru, actually somebody from the marathon team, yeah, Guru did it, he did it." And they said to me like, "Well, you should tell Guru." So I sort of like walked up and kept a nice little distance from Guru, and then when he turned around and started to walk back, he saw me, and didn't actually verbalize anything, but actually just looked at me as if to say, "Speak." So I told him, Guru, you did this, and I told him his time, and he was very, very, very pleased. But he had already thought of a different project sometime before, and that was that during, I think it was April celebration, there were going to be teams that would run as a relay and cover these 300 miles, and it would be like teams maybe of like 10, and you would run, the first one would run a mile, then second one run a mile, and so on, and then you do blocks of 10. Keep repeating. When you run, you'd have enough time for the other 9 people, so in the group to run their mile. So that was the time, your resting time kind of thing. And then he would have 3 teams. Three teams: an American team, a Canadian team, and an international team. And it was really strange because at the time that I said to Guru and gave him his time and told him that he had actually broken the time the goal that he had set, Guru just kept looking at me after he acknowledged it, kind of thing. And then he said to me, "Oh, will you run on the American team?" And then almost like within a second, he said to me, No, you will run with the international team." And then the next thing he said to me was, "Who else can run?" And the funny thing is, I knew this one Scottish disciple that's now also living in New York, that had not been running for a long time, but I'd been for like the last few months or maybe 6 months or something. I'd been inspired and was going out every morning and running. And but he just was doing it for himself. He wasn't like he wanted to do anything in races or anything like that. So, but he had been doing it, and then sort of like over my right here, in my mind's eye, the name of this boy appeared. And it slowly, I know the whole time Guru's looking at me, it slowly seemed to go over my mind's eye, and the moment it landed sort of on the left side, he looked at me and he said the boy's name, and he said, "He cannot run." And the thing was, I knew, as I said, he was sort of like, he was being kind of secretive in a sense about it, and I thought, I've dropped him in it now, kind of thing. And I actually then, for some reason, I looked to my left, and there he was, standing by a tree. And I looked at him, and I guess he knew when I looked at him that something was going on, because he'd seen me talking with Guru. And I went over and I said to him, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, it's fine. And so it was kind of but it was a perfect example of how sometimes you can be talking with Guru and he doesn't actually have to need to ask you something specifically, but he sort of reads it, or you kind of visualize it in your mind's eye and he sees it. So that was kind of something, that was not only that was the first time it ever happened to me, but not the only time. But that was the most significant one, I think.